Sports Chat Place and PickDogs.com, and it is Tuesday, June the 2nd, here with your live show due to the request by our friends at DraftKings. I won't be talking about Bovada today, okay? I just won't say Bovada on the show because our friends from DraftKings said I'm not allowed to say Bovada. But if I say Bovada again, just remind me that I said Bovada. I'll stop saying Bovada, and we'll listen to our good friends at DraftKings. Love you guys at DraftKings. Still friends. Group hug. Anyways, got a lot of sports to talk about today. Really, we don't. I'm just saying that. We're going to do a roundtable style discussion. The boys are back in town after Mondays with Mitch. We got Steve Monahan with us, Rod Zawacki, and Chris Ruffalo, a.k.a. the Puck Dogs. I think Rod's got a few a.k.a.s. He's the master of the birdcage as well. Yeah. I think he's also been called a few other choice words over the years. But anyways, Major League Baseball, the owners, I love the way they stuck it to the players. We'll get this back. It was kind of like, okay, it's like, I'll give you 6 of these. How about a half dozen of these? It's like, it's really, it's kind of like, we'll talk about that in just a second. Of course, still no more news from the NHL at this point. In the NBA, more teams want to play. How crazy is this in sports, right? More people want to play. Seems that, I don't know if more guys are passing away right now or it's just the environment that we're in, so we're noticing it more. But Wes Unseld passing, we'll do some reflecting with Steve Monahan. And whenever I hear Wes Unseld, I always think Elvin Hayes. I always think those two guys. But anyways, we're going to bring in the gang. Everyone's in blue today, so we're all matching. Bring in Steve, Chris, and Rod. And, Good morning, guys. How's it going?
Good morning.
Morning.
So, Major League Baseball, the owners say, we can't afford to pay you more than this, right? And the players say, well, we'll play 114 games. The owners say, the more games you play, the more money we lose, especially based on your plan of a prorated pay scale. And the players say, well, we'll play more games, so this way we'll get more of our salary. But the owners say, basically, you can't get blood from a stone. This is how much money we have. So based upon what you guys want, we'll give you that. But it's only a 50-game schedule then. And then that way you'll end up with the exact same amount of dollars. You'll just play less games. And now the players are like, wait a minute, we want to play. And all of a sudden it's like they want to play. It's kind of like, well, we do have this purple Datsun over here in Ceylon. But we have someone that they put a down payment, but they haven't come in and paid the rest of it. And it's like, really, if you took it today, I could probably put you in that car and have you driving off the lot. I'd have to talk to my manager, see what we can do. But I think that's where we are in the baseball negotiations, and it just, I think that by doing that, the owners have, and I don't know if they'll actually put that in their proposal, but I believe that this will maybe be a preemptive step. Kind of like we won't have to have this in our proposal, type deal. But, Steve, what do you think about this Major League Baseball lunacy?
Well, and you hit it on the head. It's still lunacy. And there's still more negotiations to go. And, this is all still tied. Next year, they still got the collective bargaining issue for 2021. Labor peace is not guaranteed going forward, but the owners came back, 50. We'll do 114. I think at the end of the day it'll be 82 games would be my guess, but the clock is ticking as we keep talking about it, and we shall see. But it's it's not surprising that the negotiations are as tough as they are. We shall see, though.
Well, I used duct tape to hang my picture, and it didn't work, so that's why I was bending over to pick up my picture of Howard, Keith, and Don. And
that's a good one.
Yeah, the first Monday Night Football game. I
Yep.
had it hanging with duct tape. It was ineffective. It fell. So we'll have to fix that at some point. Maybe come up with a better solution. I don't know. I thought that this stuff just fixed everything. It's like I don't know, man.
With a little more, with a little more than that little square that you have,
it's like hole in your
you can easily plaster that to the wall.
Hole in
No
your
problem.
Hole in your surfboard. Car fender.
Muffler.
Hole in your bicycle tire. I got this one. My favorite, and I'll have to post a picture of this. My favorite is, so there was a place here, it was a Ruby Tuesdays, and it said Maui's best salad bar, right? They had this sign outside, and it said Maui's best salad bar. And they changed ownership, like the Ruby Tuesdays went under, someone opened a bar there, and they just basically duct taped over the word salad. And it just says Maui's best bar. It's like, I took a picture of it. It's like you know exactly what happened. There's two guys like sitting in the bar. It's like, yeah, I gotta put up a new sign. Don't worry, I got this one. Hold my beer. I got this.
I'll be right back.
Oh man, the wonders of. I don't think we're gonna get justice for George Floyd. You know, I don't think we're going to get it, and I don't think he's going to get it. And I think I've talked about this enough. I've talked about it up and down. I've made it crystal clear where I stand. There needs to be change, and change starts with accountability. You know, I believe in anything. You know, and I feel this way in business when I'm talking to other people, and you know, when I'm taking on, you know, after I'm out of my old business partnerships and I'm entering into new agreements and stuff. It's all about accountability. And when you have an arm of the government, like the Internal Revenue Service, if you have an arm of, you know, any part of anything that's not accountable for all of their actions, then this is the end result. You know, like when I was audited by the IRS, and, you know, the IRS auditor said that my computer wasn't a business expense. I had built the entire, you know, Sports Chat Place on it. And that's not a business expense. But he's not accountable to anyone. So I got reamed. You know, it's like, this is the way of the world. And it's like, we're going to see change. Something good is going to come out of this. I don't think justice, you know, so this police officer they throw him in jail, right? I mean, they charge him with third-degree murder, which is actually the one that they would have a chance of getting. Because you can try a person multiple times on third degree, right? So it's like they'd have a chance of getting him and all that stuff. I don't think that's justice, though. I mean, it's a life that's been taken. So I don't think there will be justice, but I think if we can get a common good that comes out of this horrific situation, and we were on this early. You know, we were on this before we were preluding George Floyd, right? We were on it well in advance. But you know, it's horrible what's going on out there. We don't have it here. Thankfully, we had a paddle out for Floyd. You know, it's like that's what we do. You know, it's like, you know, impromptu. You know, 300 people jump on their surfboards. You paddle out into the ocean. And you do a remembrance. That's what we did here. We did that in lieu of the looting and lighting our houses on fire. That's what we did. I don't know.
My small little town in New Jersey. There's going to be a protest beginning at 4:00, or you know, I'm sure it'll be peaceful. But you know, it's really, I think every community around the country is trying to do something, or at least bring attention to it. And you know,
I'm as non-political as they get. Steve knows this, that all of our, you know, we're on a text of all these Boston people, and I don't even know any of these names of these people that they're talking about. And you know, Barack Obama, whether you voted for him, didn't vote at all, or any of those things, he wrote this long post, and you know, some of it is, you know, you can agree with, and other parts of it you can't agree with. But the one thing that he did say in there that whether you like him, don't like him, care about what he did in office, don't care about, like, kind of like me, right? It's like, I'm kind of like, it really doesn't matter. You know, I've run this business through Republicans, Democrats, every kind of different thing. I always get screwed. It really doesn't matter. So with what Obama said, and I think you have to remember this, is that TV is always going to show, and he didn't say these exact words because I didn't read it that thoroughly. But basically, what he said is that TV is going to show the baddest of the bad stuff, and that these are pockets of people that are opportunists and criminals, basically. That these are just pockets, and that the bulk of the protesting has been peaceful out there, at least as far as, I mean, like I said, I haven't seen anything here that shows me otherwise. But, yeah, I think I've said enough about that. If anyone has anything else they want to say, they can say it. If they don't want to say it, say, I got nothing to say on that. So it's up to you guys. But I think I'd rather talk about something else.
Yep.
Okay, good deal. We're good. I hope I did.
We're good.
Hopefully I walked the line there good enough that no one thinks I'm on one side or the other side or anything like that. But because I'm not. But I do think that change starts with accountability in anything. Whether it comes from supposedly allowed to promote Bovada and then putting links to Bovada on your website, and then telling DraftKings that you'll take the links down, and then DraftKings holds you accountable for putting the Bovada links on your website. But anyways. Wes Unseld passed away. I always think Elvin Hayes with Wes Unseld. There were some great teams back in the 70s. And the thing about Wes Unseld, he didn't die, like it wasn't a COVID death or anything like that. Wes Unseld had some health problems, but the thing about Wes Unseld that I always remember is that this just shows that nobody's invincible, because this was one sturdy guy. If there was ever a guy who could have played defensive end or tight end in the NFL that was an NBA player, this was the guy. Steve?
Yeah, I mean, Wes Unseld, Hall of Famer, NBA champion with the Washington Bullets in '78. Came up, I think, in '69. He won the MVP. I think Will Chamberlain and him are the only two players to win the MVP and Rookie of the Year in the same year. I think of the Big E, Elvin Hayes, the 1-2 punch of the Bullets back then. Great players, Phil Chenier, Dave Bing, Mike Reardon, and on and on. But Wes Unseld went on to coach the Bullets for, about 6 or 7 years. Absolute Hall of Famer. I was saddened to hear the news, but he was a big, strong man, and you didn't mess with Wes Unseld, man.
No, and it's like, I remember seeing, when I was a kid, a demonstration of the flop being shown, and it was like a skinny reporter, or it was like some skinny small guy. It was a reporter and then some skinny small guy, and the guy who taken the flop was Wes Unseld. And he's just like, he's like, there's no way what he did could have knocked over Wes Unseld. He's like, well, he's trying to draw the foul. It's like, that's what Wes said. It was good stuff, and definitely probably on the all-time NBA list, I'm going to guess. I don't know if he is there for certain or anything. I don't follow that stuff, but
yeah, I mean, he's definitely a top 100 player, I would think. Maybe a top 50. He had a great career. He's in the Hall of Fame.
No, absolutely. But so some other news that I thought was pretty interesting, and I know I said it to Steve before the show that it wasn't interesting, is that the Notre Dame Navy game was not canceled. It was moved from Ireland to Maryland. And to me, that wasn't the interesting part of the story. The interesting part of the story is that it made me open up the schedule, take a look at week 0, and now I'm all excited for college football. We got Hawaii, Arizona, UCLA, New Mexico State, Cal, UNLV, Marshall, East Carolina. So we've got 4 games that are, FBS level games in week 0. We rarely see this, Then we head into Thursday night, and there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 games. Houston Rice, if you watch the Lance Armstrong special, Lance Armstrong's son plays for Rice. I don't know if he's any good or not, but I thought that was interesting. Lance didn't know his son's number. BYU, Utah, Louisville, North Carolina State. Anyone surprised about how poorly spoken Lance Armstrong is? Anyone surprised? I mean, I've never really heard this guy speak for any length of time, but I was shocked that he sounds like a lot of the guys that I know down at the beach that I surf with. I was shocked, man, to hear the way that he talks. I'm not saying that he's not a, I'm not a scholar either, right? I'm not a scholar either, but he almost seems confused, most of the time. And it's just an odd thing, and it's like, I think that Lance Armstrong, for all the good that he did, it got overtaken by, because he's a doper. But if he raised that kind of awareness for cancer, and it took being a doper to do that, I don't know, maybe it's not such a bad trade-off, for the rest of us. I have to say that. But I was shocked by the way that Lance Armstrong, his line of thinking and speaking, I thought was really, totally caught me off guard. Any of you guys watch this? Steve, you watched Lance Armstrong? The 2-part ESPN?
I did not.
Oh, boy. Chris,
I think Lance Armstrong is the biggest fraud, biggest asshole. Listen, the cancer awareness, I'll give you some points.
Oh, my God.
But this guy, the HBO special a few years ago was outstanding on this, and I was just stunned of what a complete asshole he is, and I'm not surprised, even though I didn't see it, that he's not as articulate as perhaps you may have thought he would be.
I thought he would be because he had been in these high-profile situations. So, like, when you hear LeBron James speak when he was drafted, and when they did they showed the lottery that year recently, right? And you hear LeBron speak, and you heard him speak like when he was in high school and stuff. He sounds like a much different person than he is now. Obviously, he certainly didn't go back to school, right? I mean, but he's done some things along the way, more than likely on his own, or his agent has done this, or his publicist, to make him, better spoken, and because he's going to be in public and he's going to be speaking, and to make him sound more credible. I have to say that. For me, I thought a lot of those things about Lance Armstrong too. That you said he's a fraud, he's a phony, and the fact that he kept denying and denying and denying and denying and then pointing the finger at everybody else. I mean, he did all of those things, right? He did all of those things. But I think when you look
he tried to character assassinate a lot of good people too, starting with Greg LeMond and the team around him.
Well, the team around him was no better than him.
No, but there was a couple people that were good to him that he really screwed.
Like Floyd Landis?
They were bat him out.
Floyd Landis? No,
I'm not saying him. The one, whoever the woman was, I can't remember her name. Whatever. I mean, the list is endless.
Right.
He panicked. He knew it was the biggest fraud in the history of sports. He knew it was about to be exposed.
It's not the biggest fraud in the history of sports. It's not the biggest fraud in the history of sports. I think there's been bigger frauds in sports than that. I do, and I think what happened. I think Major League Baseball was the biggest fraud in the history of sports. I think that some of the fixing of these NFL games to put them in the to put the bigger TV market teams in the bigger games.
I'll throw Arnold Rothstein in the 1919 Black Sox, stuff like that. I mean, there's stuff out there. I get it.
But that's like even the Black Sox. A lot of things that happened in that are gray.
Yeah,
super
I get
great.
it.
But look, I think on the other side of this, think about being a cancer patient pre-Lance Armstrong to being a cancer patient post-Lance Armstrong. There's a big difference. You go from helplessness to hopefulness. You go from unaware to aware. And all of those things, what we take them for granted now, they all came from Lance Armstrong. They all came from Lance Armstrong. There was a woman on the show, and she was part of the Live Strong Foundation and all these things, and she bared some of the bad parts of what Lance Armstrong did, and she said, I was diagnosed with cancer. I'm sitting in the waiting room to go in to see the doctor. There's a magazine with Lance on the cover with his newborn baby, and he says, I knew I was diagnosed with cancer before they did the surgery. I did this, this, and this, and that's how I was able to have kids. He said if I wouldn't have done that, I wouldn't be able to have kids. She had her embryos frozen before she had her cancer stuff done, and now she has 4 kids. It's like, these are things that it's lost. It's lost in the story. And I understand. Hey, as far as sport goes, fraud.
He cheated and got wronged and
Right.
gave his medals back.
Right.
So,
No.
but what he's done for the community and service and,
All right.
and for the research,
All right.
he made $580 million.
What's worse?
The guy alone.
What's worse?
He's done his dues.
What's worse? Okay. What's worse? A guy basically doing blood transfusions, right? On a regular basis here in a van, driving from event to event. What's worse, that or Kareem Hunt punching his girlfriend in the face? Or Joe Mixon punching a woman and knocking her down in the cafeteria at Oklahoma? Or, Aaron Hernandez.
Ray Rice in the elevator throwing a Tyson haymaker.
Ray Rice,
Yeah.
Or Aroldis Chapman choking his pregnant girlfriend.
Where
Where does this fit in the landscape? Obviously those guys not as high profile as Lance Armstrong. None of them. I mean, Lance Armstrong was, he was
huge, man.
He was
9 years
huge.
straight, he was
He was
huge.
like the man
big,
of the year, right? I mean, he was
Almost a
huge.
decade.
The comeback
Right,
of the
he's
year.
got 7 freaking Tour de France's, right?
Well,
it's not like he won 2 or 3.
7 asterisks.
I get it. Yeah, definitely had. That's the point.
Yeah.
7 asterisks. I mean, because he did say, how long have you been doping? 96. That's what he said. It was like,
Yeah,
what?
exactly.
It's like,
Yeah.
you were 20. It's like, I know.
Yeah.
But I mean, I do think that he did have like you said, a big impact on awareness for everything. Because you look, when the Live Strong bands were first coming out, everybody had one. I still see people, even a couple of my friends, that still wear theirs for the last 6, 7, 8 years. And it's just like, you would see them everywhere, and it would sort of be like that little reminder in the back of your mind, like, hey, this is still an issue, and it's something that he definitely brought awareness to, and we're the better for it, at least in that respect.
I would say the jury's still out on this. I'll be honest. America, I will say about America, they love the comeback, man. They love the comeback. If Lindsay Lohan makes the comeback, believe me, worse than this have made the comeback, way worse than this. I mean, do you even remember that Rob Lowe had a sex tape? I mean, when's the last time I brought up Rob Lowe's sex tape? Well, 2 seconds ago, right? But before that, been
Hold on, I think I got that right.
But you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Jackie Joyner Kersey, fraud. It's so many. Cycling is all frauds, though. The thing is, if you're a doper, right, in cycling, you certainly didn't win because you're a doper, because everybody was a doper. It's not like Barry Bonds, where like he went from 165 pounds to 225 and went from a base stealer to a slugger. I mean, Bonds hit a lot of home runs when he was lanky like that too. But the thing is that he was racing against other dopers. You know, it's like he beat other dopers. The sport was dirty as he was. I don't know, man. I think you know, for my money anyway, I think cycling, you know, is something I haven't been able to follow since then. And it's something that I had lost interest in. We knew he was a doper, right? It wasn't like it was a big surprise, right? It was like we knew he was a doper. And it's the bigger surprise is that Lamond isn't, right? Because he, you know, look at what he did. When Lamond ran that guy down in the time trial and won the Tour de France, his first one, that was one of the most amazing feats, like in all of sports that I've ever seen. And I've seen a lot of them. You know, I've been around the block a couple times. And when he ran that guy down, the guy basically collapsed on his bike. It was pretty amazing. And, you know, Lamond also, wasn't he shot in the back? Wasn't he Dick Cheney'd? And he came back, too? So
He did.
Came back, yeah.
He won 3, if I remember correctly, didn't he? Greg LeMond, he won 3.
I believe he won 3. And he could have won 4 his first year. Cycling's one of those weird things. Yeah, Michael Vick is a comeback story. You know, there's tons of comeback stories. Lance Armstrong last year, 2019, did the commentary on NBC for the Tour de France. He was a commentator last year. So, you know, I could see him coming back. And it's like, if it goes for the greater good, it's just, I was just surprised at how poorly it's just a weird thing. You know, it's just kind of like, it makes a lot of sense, you know, when you put his story together. Because here's a guy that, you know, I mean, this was his thing from an early age. You know, he got special treatment his whole life. You know, his mother had him when she was 15 years old. You know, he's, you know, young mother. And they grew up together. You know, it's kind of like, it's one of those things. I don't know, man. I think the guy created a lot of good, and I think you can't take that away from him. I think you could take the trophies, you could take the money, you could take all those things, but you can't take away what good he did. You know, and Tiger Woods, right? Tiger won the Masters last year. Hardly know that he was the guy with, what was it, Steve? A sex addiction.
To porn stars.
Yeah, I think didn't he relapse a few times? Where it's like they're on the first tee. Where the hell's Woods? Better not be having another relapse.
You want to be the guy to go knock on that door?
I haven't seen the cocktail waitress in a while. It's like... All right. Let's get to some simulated picks of computer games.
Yeah, what do the puck dogs think about Major League Baseball? I'd like to hear their opinion on where it's at in the negotiations.
And hockey, if you've heard anything else going on hockey, like a day, you know. But the NBA, 22. The NBA proposed 20 or 22 teams. The other 8 teams are mad they won it. It's like, I love it. I love it.
Well, I mean, as far as NHL goes, I'm hearing that they're not going to start training camps until July 10th. So that's going to push Phase 3 till July 10th, and then we're probably going to look at an early August.
No, they said July 31st. Be 3 weeks of training.
Yeah, either July 31st or the first week of August is what I'm seeing.
Well, how does that impact the next season?
Robert Downey,
right? I mean,
Robert Downey Jr. Also another comeback story.
What time? Like, when would be the time frame that the season would be over? And would they start? You think they'd start the next season on time or no?
No, they're looking at starting next season in December.
Yeah.
Which they can still get your 82 games into from December till.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the following season, everything would start back normal.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be normal in time for, I'd say, 2021-22.
Okay.
I'll fix it, man. Just send it over. I'll fix it.
Duct tape.
I'll fix it, man. I got the duct tape. I can fix that, man.
I can fix it too. Why do we need fixing? We can shut people up.
Right?
Send it over. I got this one.
I got it.
Got this.
All right, Chris, how did we do in our simulated games yesterday? We picked these on Sunday for yesterday.
So we had 2 days worth of games. So,
How did we do?
for Sunday we had the Vikings beat the Jaguars 41-10. So the Vikings covered. Denver covered against New England, but it was 25-24 for New England. Seahawks covered against the Panthers 16-6. NFC covered against the AFC 33-27.
I refuse to
Pick
pick
six.
that game.
Pick six in overtime. What,
Yeah.
what ugly. Pick six in overtime. I'm
What,
like, what the?
what's worse, that we do these picks or that Rod watches the games and recaps them?
And then for yesterday,
Rod,
the
who had that
Broncos-
pick six in the game?
Oh, good question.
We're gonna ask
think
Sim,
there's
we're gonna
a-
ask Sim trivia next year. You know, when we're playing
Yeah.
regular thing. It's like, who won the first Sim Bowl? It'll be like, I'll be asking Siri. The Patriots beat the Saints.
A thriller.
in
27.
Symbol 1.
Yeah.
Symbol 1.
It's like, yeah, Siri here for directions. Like, take a right at the third mango tree. It's like, there's 9 mango trees, man. Which one? It's like,
For yesterday, the Broncos beat the Bills 23-18. Eagles beat the Bucks 37-33. And the Steelers beat the Chargers 33-27. And the Saints beat the Ravens 33-27.
2-2 for me on those. 2-1 the day before. So
4-3.
something like that. And
I
one
don't even remember
and one
something.
hard pass on the Pro Bowl.
Right.
Rod, do we have a hockey sim today or?
Yeah, hockey sim today. We got Nashville at the Jets. Always a close game. For me, just take the Jets money line.
How do you get to a Nashville Jets sim game? It's like you have 2 NHL teams that no one cares about when they're playing for real, you know? And it's like let's do Jaguars against the, you know, whatever every week, you know? It's like
It was like yesterday's in New Jersey and Montreal. Like, really? New Jersey, Montreal? Yikes. We still hit it, though. Come on.
how many fans do you think are going to be at Charger games in the next 4 years? Like after 4 years, or the Rams? Half full.
A few more.
Will we be optimists and say the stadium will be half full?
Yeah, I mean, that's the way LA was. That's why the Rams moved out to St. Louis.
And
you
the
know?
Raiders moved out, and
Right?
oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And that stadium cost a lot of money.
Seat licenses.
Yeah.
Hate the seat license.
Maybe 20 years they'll have it paid off.
Who's playing in some simulated football? Did Rod make a pick there in this Nashville game, or did I?
Yeah. No, I'm taking the Jets. Give me the Jets.
J
Jets over
E
Nashville.
T S. Jets.
Jets.
Speaking of the Jets, New York Jets against the New York Giants. Jets minus 6.5.
How much are good?
Snoopy Bowl.
How much are the chicken nuggets going to be at that one?
$12.
It's like
How much?
$12.
No.
I'm going by
Yeah,
Canadian. I'm going.
Maybe 14.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're probably more than that.
Yeah, you got to take Disney prices and add another 50%. This is the way that
Yes.
really
Okay.
works. It's like Disney is closed. I went to Disney once with my wife when we were still dating, and we drove up. We were at my mother's house in Fort Lauderdale. We drove up to Disney, and the park was closed. Like had reached capacity. I told her they ran out of food because the thing's only open, you know, to sell food. It's like they'd sold enough food. We're good.
We're good. Yeah.
And it's like, so, and just like all rides at Universal Studios end at the snack bar or gift shop, you know? It's like you have to file out through the gift shop. It's like, snack at Costco, waiting in the line with the masks on. It's like they swing you by the snack bar. It's like try and reel you in with the 14-foot poster of a hot dog. It's like reeling you in. What do we got?
Chicken. So yeah, Jets minus 6.5 against the Giants.
I never
Jets
take the
day.
Giants. I'm taking the Jets.
Yeah.
taking
Jets,
the
Jets,
Jets.
Jets.
I'll go Jets.
I never take the Giants. You know why? Hate them.
Daniel Jones.
No, it's not just him. Believe me, we have several cancers within that organization.
3 Eastern, Steelers minus 3.5 against the Bears. Steelers.
Bears. I'm going Bears.
Steelers. I like the Bears' defense, but it just doesn't really get you that far in this game.
Are they in Chicago?
Pittsburgh.
Steelers.
And it's windy.
Oh, it's windy. Steelers.
I'm playing the Bay course at Kapalua today. It's right on the ocean. You want to talk about windy, man?
That's got some wind.
It's like, man, my wife, when I play there, she's always like, boy, you look really tired. It's like, I've been smashing 3-woods from 145 yards all day. It's unbelievable. I mean,
Has it ever been so windy out there you had to chase your hat down the fairway?
all the time. At
All the time.
Kapalua, all the time. I wear that.
Oh, yeah.
My wife came with me one time, and she has pictures of me with the hat backwards. You know, like I flip the hat around when it gets a bit windy,
Yeah.
and then I flip the other way.
And when it flipped off and you're running down the fairway chasing your hat going, this golf thing is horrible. It's too windy out here.
7 Eastern, Packers minus 7.5 against the Panthers.
Packers.
Packers.
Panthers.
I'll go Panthers.
Panthers.
Packers seem to roll up the big points.
Yeah. And 10 o'clock, Patriots and 49ers in a pick 'em.
Take the Niners.
Niners.
In New England?
In New England, yeah.
Pats.
So, do you have the screen open? I still have this week 1 up here from the college football from talking about that Notre Dame game. Indiana at Wisconsin. What did we say was the early season line? Because I'll tell you, I haven't bet in a while. I got some cash in a few of my accounts. I might put a little something there on the Badgers because, I mean, we have my least favorite coach, right, in all of college football there, on the road at Camp Randall for opening day on a Friday night. This could really get ugly. I mean, this could really get ugly. Remember last year, a lot of people took USF against Wisconsin in the opener at South Florida? Like they were getting a boatload of points at home?
Right now I'm seeing Wisconsin minus 12.5.
That's about 15 points light.
Yeah, I would think so too.
I could see Indiana tapping out in that one. Yeah. And what are some of these other weak ones? While we're here, what the hell?
How
about
Hawaii, Arizona minus 10.5.
Hawaii always plays them tough. They beat them last year, but Cole McDonald is gone.
Right now, Navy Notre Dame sitting Notre Dame minus 16.5.
At Navy, new quarterback.
Yeah,
new quarterback.
First time ever, 94 years, the Irish will play at Navy.
Yeah.
Always a neutral site game.
Yeah, it will be this time because there'll be no fans in the stands, so it'll be basically a neutral site.
That's the reason why. That's right. Yeah. Well, I mean, Navy. I'm sure their home stadium doesn't hold 78,000 people, for Christ's sake.
BYU Utah sitting Utah minus 6.5.
Yeah, there's some changes there at Utah for this one. Is Taysom Hill playing for BYU? He's back for his 17th season.
Robbie Bosco starting for BYU.
I don't know who the quarterback is at BYU, but you can guess he's in his mid to late 20s.
Absolutely. 3 kids.
Standard. 3 kids, 4 wives. This is all set.
Clemson minus 26 at Georgia Tech. I don't know. I'm trying to see the other ones here. Alabama minus 14 against USC.
That could be the interesting one. USC Daniels transferred now, right? And I think they've had 2 transfers of those great quarterbacks that they had, but they're still stacked,
Yeah.
But thing is, you can't give Saban 8 months to prepare. It's like that's when he really is good in these opening games. Yeah,
and then you got Michigan. You got Michigan favored at Washington.
There's some good games here.
Nice.
We haven't talked about these in a while, and we talk about them like right when they came out. But it's like as they're getting closer, you kind of are getting a feel for it.
Yeah.
How about Oregon against North Dakota State? You think the Bison finally get it handed to them in a big way? Remember they went into Iowa a couple years and beat them.
Yeah.
The North Dakota State quarterback, I believe, is the #1 rated quarterback coming out.
Oh,
I like Oregon by about 60 in that one.
Yeah, I don't see Oregon not pulling away from the Bison.
But oddly enough, both teams wear the same color uniform, so there could be some deception going on there and a little bit of confusion, especially the way that Oregon changes their uniforms around. Rod's like, do I have to stay for this? It's like, he goes, I got to be somewhere. He's got his duct tape. He's like,
I got some sim recaps I got to do here.
all
Come
right.
on.
I think we're good. We got plenty of time to talk about this, but I was just looking at these, and there's actually some really good matchups there for week 1. Michigan, Washington is another one. TCU and Cal. Colorado State. You say Kala, I say Rada. Colorado. Virginia, Georgia.
Georgia.
All day, every day. Georgia. There, I piped in on something.
Rod's like
Georgia.
Rod's
Georgia will whoop Virginia.
Rod's now that they got rid of that DeAndre Swift, they're ready for action.
Oh, yeah. I will be rolling.
They're ready for action. Swift is gone. Onward and upward.
Yeah. Onward and upward.
We'll have a new quarterback for Georgia, and he's going to be super light on experience because they've had one guy that's taken all the snaps. Anyways.
Well, JT Daniels transferred to Georgia, but I think he's got to sit out, and he'll have 3 years eligibility.
Why does he have to sit? And
I don't know. That's a question. I'm not sure why.
This is there's a broken system.
He got hurt last year too. I mean,
would
he have to sit?
There's a broken system here, where some guys have to sit and some guys don't have to sit. I'm sure Georgia has the money to make him not sit. So, who's in charge of the? Who the hell's in charge of making sure that this guy doesn't have to sit? Just saying. Anyways, it's possible, man. It's possible. Lance Armstrong was doping, man. Who knew? Anyways, who knew Sammy Sosa was doping and had a corked bat? How's that for doubling down?
Yeah, what a shocking revelation that was. Wow.
No. The doping or that he was doping and using a corked bat. It's like...
Both.
like, where does it end?
It ended in Congress. No English.
Where does it end? All right. We've talked about... We've seriously talked about absolutely nothing for...
That's right.
This is a filibuster of nothingness at 44 minutes and 17 seconds. I'm going to wrap it up. This is Mitch. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. I'm not really sure what tomorrow's show is going to be about. Hopefully something happens. Chris, any Bundesliga tomorrow or anything?
There's one game tomorrow, yeah.
Is it early or late?
No, 2:30.
All right, we'll be covering that forward and backward and backward and forward.
you
Have a
know?
good day, everyone. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it.